Welcome to my 90-day workshop board. So I created this from my own experience, especially as a consultant. I spent a lot of time onboarding into new companies, but also a large portion of the one-on-one coaching that I do with product managers and product leaders is about starting a new job. I recently just coached a product leader, a director of product, starting a new job at a product-led company. And I also had a senior product manager as well, and a group product manager just in the last couple of months. So a lot of my one-on-one coaching is around this. So over the years, I've kind of created this approach to basically starting your 90 days and thinking about it. And I turned it into this workshop that I basically take people through. And this is also very useful as product leaders to also use to take your new people. So if you hire a new product manager, you can take them through this workshop as well and facilitate it with it. So as a quick introduction and just to explain how to use it, there's a few categories here and I've got things numbered. So that's kind of the logical order that you want to go in. But to explain it all, we start here with common traps and keys to success. Really, and it says up here, this whole exercise is around getting them in the right mindset, making them think about, well, out of the people that I've observed do really well in starting new jobs in the past, what have they done? What are those keys to success? And then the people who have struggled, what are those common traps? Now, there's a fantastic book called The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. I encourage you to buy it and read it. It's a light read. It's got a lot of templates in it. He even talks about some of the common traps from his experience there too. So basically, warm-up exercise. I share my experience, but I really want them to put theirs down, and then I add my own, and we have a big discussion about those common traps. Why are they traps? Why are they keys to success? Really, that should be 10 minutes at the most, and it's really just a warm-up exercise to get them in the right mindset. The next is to then project forwards, right to the end of the 90 days of what does success look like. So to them, what does success look like? Now, this doesn't need to be like a fully fledged vision at this time. It could just be post-it notes. What are some of those things? I've delivered something. I know who my stakeholders are. I've got a good relationship with them. I've done this and that. And just really brainstorming what that looks like. Underneath are goals and potential early wins. Now, we'll get to these a bit later, but really, we're not trying to fill out these two things immediately unless if you're within an existing company, you might be able to fill these out straight away, but typically not. But they're good things to take in mind. So your goals are then trying to take that 90-day vision and breaking it down. So if you feel like you're in a position to do so, go ahead, do it straight away. But typically this section I cycle back to later on. The potential early wins are something that you're going to identify over your first 30 days. You're going to keep an eye out for things that are what I would define as an early win. Michael Watkins calls them quick wins, but they're just things like that are small enough and impactful enough that you might want to do in the first 90 days on the job. Now, this is really important because this is all about building trust and rapport and respect. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting runs on the board. And why are they quick wins or early wins? Because we want to do them quickly. They should ideally not be things that take too long. We don't want to take something that's going to take us 12 weeks to do. But we also want to avoid those things that are maybe, big and political. We just want to get, quick wins, small wins on the board, build momentum, start building trust and rapport. So typically over the 30 days, I'll be coming back to this board and adding things that I think might be potential early wins. You might already have context on the organization based on interviews, those types of things, and you might want to throw some of those early wins down straight away. After that, we then move to what I call the learning backlog. So this is one of the common traps. One of the common traps is people don't build a deliberate way to learn in the first 90 days. They just turn up and hope all the information will be given to them and somebody else is going to basically control their learning pathway on the job. And seldomly is that the case. Often people aren't that organized, organizations aren't that organized either. Great organizations, great product leaders will do this, but sometimes, you join a startup, it's just hectic. Like, we just don't have the time and the rigor to do this. So we want to take control. Take control of your own learning, avoid that trap, and make sure that you're going to have some success. So what we'll do here is brainstorm. What are all the things that you need to learn? And we'll basically just put them all down in a big list. And then we'll say, well, why do you need to know them? And then we'll brainstorm them. Who will you get that information from? Now, this is useful because you can start to identify, several things from the one person, or maybe you're asking too much of one person, you might want to move that around. And then how will you get that information? This could be asking them, but it could be reading. It could be, I'll get the document sent to me. I might go through Confluence, all those types of things. The next one is to build a relationship backlog. Again, another common trap. We don't build the foundation for relationships to happen. Not in the first 90 days. We often expect relationships to happen for us. Part of our job is to stakeholder manage, and we need to build very deliberate and very thoughtful relationships. So before you start the job or in the first week, sit down and think about what are all the relationships you need to form. Put them all down. And who is that relationship with? Is it with the CTO? Is it with your manager? Is it with, the head of marketing? Those types of things. Why do you need to have that relationship? Now, this is really powerful because if you can't answer this, maybe you don't need the relationship, but really trying to understand, well, what am I hoping to get out of the relationship? Why do I need to have them as a successful ally or partner? And then how do you intend to build a relationship? This could be weekly or regular one-on-ones, but it doesn't need to be. You might decide to have a customer-facing meeting where you bring in stakeholders from customer success, marketing, and sales, and have a forum on a monthly basis and have them all together. That's still building relationships because you've got regular time with them, but you're not filling your calendar with one-on-ones. Once we've done all of that, we'll then jump down to starting to plan out our 90 days. So what we then start to do is look at the first 30 days, the 60 days, 30 to 60 days, and then at the end with 90 days. And really, we want to start planning out activities. So based on our learning backlog, based on our relationship backlog, based on our goals and our vision, what are all the things that we want to happen and do? I need to, first week is all about learning and getting to know people and meeting people. And then second week is all about this. And third week's all about that. It's really starting to map all of this out. This is a blank canvas because everyone maps this out differently. I've had people turn this into a table and have themes and start to map things out. I've had other people just map it out with post-it notes. It's deliberately vague here and deliberately an open canvas because everyone thinks differently and your context is going to be different. You will notice that there is this conversations to have down the side. Now, this is from the book, The First 90 Days, and I think that's excellent. And interestingly enough, I was doing a lot of these conversations without knowing it until, I was doing it deliberately, but then when I read the book, I realized how that he actually structures it this way, and it's very valuable. And I learned a few extra things. But really, the conversations to have is in this order, and they're in this order. You want to basically try to go down this list. And the first one is a situation or diagnosis conversation. This should happen at the end of your learning period. So your first 2 weeks to the first month, you should sit down with your direct manager, key stakeholders, and basically have a conversation about what you've heard, what you've seen, and basically have a diagnosis with them. The next one is expectations. This is, as clear as hopefully it is, which is basically setting expectations with your stakeholders, your team, and your manager. What are those clear expectations? Making sure that you're not set up for failure, that you're setting yourself up for success. The resource one links into the expectations one, which is really, if you expect me to do this, then these are my ask back. I need this. I need to hire these roles. I need to do that. A style one is really important too. This is a conversation about how you like to communicate and how they like to be communicated with. So this is all about understanding each other's style. Do they want a weekly, summary email, or do they want to just have a face-to-face chat, or do they not mind the very hands-off type people? It's very powerful to be able to have that conversation with them. And then the last one, again, very self-explanatory, and this should happen right at the end of the 90 days, to have that personal development conversation to say, this is where I want to take my career, and these are the things I see as my next steps. So hopefully that's a really good explanation of what this board is and how to use it. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn or my website and message me if you have any questions. I've also got a course on it coming out with my online learning product pathways. So if you want to really get deep into this, I'll be walking through this board in depth. Definitely check it out. I also wrote a blog about this as well. You can see that, and it's probably got a little bit more information on what I've just talked about here. So feel free to read that as well. But otherwise, happy for feedback too. I hope you find it useful and have fun with it.